Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathy, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Norwich Writers Circle. And I'm here just to give you a few tips and advice when it comes to the theme. So some of the things I'm going to be covering will be what we mean when we say explore the theme. I'm going to give you some prompts which act as examples of different sort of directions that you can take the theme. I'm going to be offering some exercises as well that you can do either following with me in this video or later on. And these exercises are designed to sort of help you pull some ideas out to form into a story. And then I'm going to go through some general sort of tips and advice afterwards. So let's get started. One of the reasons that I'm doing this is because every year we get entrants asking us, how do I interpret the theme? How strict are you? How closely or how literally should I follow the theme? The short and simple answer is that you are free to interpret the theme any way you like, as long as you are exploring it. So what do we mean when we say exploring the theme? For this, I'm going to give some examples. So, let's say that you are writing a story about a couple having an argument, and while this couple are having an argument, the news happens to be on in the background. Now, I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that that is not in fact exploring the theme, because in this instance, the news is a set piece, something that just happens to be on, and the story would play out the same whether it was the news or a soap opera or anything else. So let's say you rewrite your story. And instead you have it so that the news affects the argument in some way. So maybe the news triggers the argument, or maybe it makes it worse, or maybe it even makes it better and causes the argument to come to an end. Although simple, this is a great example of what we mean by exploring the theme, because in this case, you're showing the effect the news has on this couple, their relationship, and the argument that's happening, rather than just something that happens to be on in the background. So to help solidify this, I'm going to go through two prompts, which could, not only will they show you sort of some different directions that you can take, but they will also help you understand exactly what we mean by exploring the theme. So, the first prompt is, that allegedly, when H.G. Wells recorded a radio play of War of the Worlds, many of his listeners didn't realise that it was a radio play and in fact thought they were being invaded. Now, this has since been proven as a myth, but it nonetheless serves as a wonderful prompt which can show you, one of many directions that you can take this prompt in. That being that something fictional, through misunderstanding or manipulation or something else, is somehow taken as an actual news story, something factual that is currently happening. So although this one was in fact proven to be a myth, there is in fact a real case of this happening, and fairly recently, as there are many. But the one in particular that I want to highlight is back in 2015, Call of Duty, the video game, changed their Twitter account from @CallOfDuty to @CurrentEventsAggregator, and they changed their profile picture so that they looked like a news account. And then they started making tweets which documented a terrorist attack in Singapore. Now, the reason they did this is because this was the major plot line of their game, that there was a terror attack in Singapore. But of course, as you can imagine, this caused, widespread panic and confusion, because you had some people who, because their account looked like a news account and was tweeting news stories, they thought that there was a terror attack going on in Singapore. And people in Singapore were really confused because obviously everything that they said was happening was not in fact happening. Unsurprisingly, there was a great deal of backlash to this, but it is, again, a true story and a great example of something fictional, through manipulation in this case, being taken as a real news story and the consequences of that. So that would be one potential angle, but it also shows you another example of what we mean when we say explore the theme. Second example that you should see on screen now, much like the H.G. Wells story, this is fake. It's a hoax. The billboard never existed, but it nonetheless shows not only what we mean by exploring the theme, but also a potential direction that you could take when exploring the theme. In this case, it is a wife who is informing her husband that she is divorcing him because he is being unfaithful, but she is kind of announcing this news in a really unusual manner. People don't generally sort of announce divorces this way. And so you could take that kind of idea of the relationship between news and how it's transmitted, because certain news we generally sort of prefer or is more socially acceptable being transmitted in a certain way. And when that news is not transmitted in the way that we expect it to, it can create interesting results. And that is, of course, another direction that you can take while exploring this.